I was the one who was asked, how do you kill Hitler? Coming up with any plan is like a jigsaw, and despite its magnitude, this was no different. Start at the edges and work towards the center to build up the picture. How many ways are there to kill a man? How many ways to assassinate a leader? Hitler. The key thing was not to get overawed. Just begin the jigsaw. D-Day. The Allied armies landed in occupied France. For the first time in 4 years of conflict, the nation felt optimistic, praying that this was the beginning of the end of the Nazi regime, the end of Adolf Hitler. But Hitler himself was miles from the fighting, tucked away in the mountains of southeast Germany in a boat hole called the Berghof. This was his holiday retreat before the war and his favored military headquarters since. At the Berghof, Hitler thought he was safe, untouchable, but Hitler was wrong. Within a few days, he would become the target of Operation Foxleap. There were other options for assassinating Hitler, and I would find one.
The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God said, "Let there be light."
For millennia, we accepted that our world had been created by God. Then science began to challenge this belief.
To be fobbed off with a cheap supernatural explanation that really doesn't explain anything, I think it actually is mentally degrading.
But however much science advanced, a complete explanation of creation remained elusive.
If you ask it at a very deep level, if you want to know why is the universe the way it is, we are nowhere near answering that question in science. We're no closer now than the ancient Greeks were.
In the days when creation was a mystery, belief in God gave meaning to our struggles, to our lives. But was God real, or just something we had invented to cover our ignorance and ease our pain?
I can never prove to somebody else's satisfaction that the God that I perceive is not simply a figment of my imagination. But I personally don't believe that I have invented a God.
So for Alexander, at the end of scientific explanation, there is still something else.
We're still left with the ultimate questions of whether it has any overall meaning, whether there is a God or not, whether we're going anywhere. And I think those questions are simply not the kind of questions that science can answer.
It's not always harmful to believe in supernatural, or indeed in anything false. One can make a case for believing falsehoods if they are comforting, if they're consoling. But it is rather harmful if it lulls one into thinking that one has explained things that one hasn't.
One side does not have more knowledge than the other. The differences begin when the facts run out. And so, in the end, we believe, because belief itself is written into the very fabric of this universe, as the only way of negotiating the complexities and uncertainties of life.
At the beginning of the 21st century, with more mature science, what comes back, I think, is a recognition that we need to have a sense of humility again, and we need to take responsibility for our actions.
According to Bloom, Shakespeare can be said to have invented the modern self, because when his characters look inside themselves, they do not find the certainty of a God-given soul, but the question, what am I? And the revolutionary answer he gives them and us is that we are all self-made, not God-made. We weave ourselves out of our own thoughts, words, and experiences. In this modern world, what do we mean by the word soul?
I think when people use the word soul now culturally, they use it for whatever is the true nature of themselves. My soul is my kind of essence, the heart of me, and it's not to do with religious doctrine.
I was incarcerated for almost 6 years, including the halfway house and home confinement time. I had done everything that I knew I could to help save those trees at Eagle Creek, and they still were trying to kill those trees.
You know, I've always been lucky. People think it's strange that somebody who's sitting in a wheelchair and can't walk and can't do all these things would describe himself as being lucky. But I would say that the 10 years that I've now been a quadriplegic have been 10 of the best years of my life.
My first struggles with the naked female body was not so much to seduce someone or making a really erotic image, but was more, you know, on how can we use the body without, you know, etc., etc. I paint because I am a woman. It's a logical necessity. If painting is female and insanity is a female melody, then all woman painters are mad and all male painters are women. Delight. It's the pleasure of painting, the poses of pleasure, the privilege of being looked at, the plays of seduction, the light of the night. It's nothing personal, it's plain delight.